This video is brought to you by Pitaka. Okay, so the media faith of every new iPhone is predetermined before it even comes out. A new iPhone is either destined to skyrocket the impressions of tech outlets, intertwined by controversies that most of the time die off after maybe a software update or followed by retractions, or it is to be deemed boring, where most other will vent using titles like "Returning my iPhone," "Not what I thought," "Disappointed," and others alike. Personally, I think the 15 Pro is one of the most misjudged Apple phones following the original one, and it is special for 3 reasons. Where before you had to combine all changes and multiple reasons into one in order to convince someone to switch, this time each reason on its own might be strong enough to look for an upgrade. So let's start with reason number 1. But before that, I can't help myself and I have to show you how capable the iPhone 15 Pro is compared to the last generations. So in this case, I'm recording a video internally in log, even though I actually have an SSD plugged into it, but I can do that internally if I have enough storage, or I can do that on the external drive right away in log, which makes a night and day difference. It is really amazing the potential this phone has, something that I'll discuss later in the video. Now, if I were to do a first impressions video on the 15 Pro, it will be dead easy this year because for the first time in a while, there are physical design changes that evoke initial emotions, the biggest of which is how the 15 Pro feels in the hand, no matter if you hold the 15 Pro or the Pro Max. I promise you won't hear me use the word titanium anywhere throughout the video, but it is important to note how much better you perceive this phone compared to the last 3 generations because of that very word. That, alongside the softened corners, made my pinky take a sabbatical, and I find immense pleasure using the phone as is, without a case. Where before, there might have been a feeling of uncertainty and intimidation to rock the phone naked because of the fear of dropping it combined with the sheer weight that led to exhaustion. With the 15 lineup, there's a sense of confidence as if the phone is actually in a case, and that is a big deal. Now, even the largest iPhone 15 Pro Max feels like something you can fidget with and use for hours. By the way, if you end up enjoying this video, subscribe because why not? Okay, so the bezels are ever so slightly smaller, something that few people might even realize, and I'm sure many will boast that these are incremental changes, but few will talk about the compound effect. Little incremental, almost insignificant changes pile up, and this phone now feels almost as ergonomic as my all-time favorite Mini from 2 years ago. Another physical design change that I'm yet to explore in its full potential is the action button. I've heard plenty of people complaining that the button is unreachable being so high, only to hear the same people complain about other phones having the power button in the middle where it's easily accessible, having issues of accidentally turning off their phones. The action button is right where it's supposed to be. It eliminates friction while existing in an intentional location. Initially, I thought I might be missing the silent switcher, but as an Apple Watch user, 99% of the time my phone is on silent anyway, so why not utilize that button for something else? So if you decide to utilize that button for something else like I did in my case, and I'll show you how in a second, you can always switch to silent mode by going to the control center and pressing on the little, where is it? There it is, a little ring icon here. So if you press that icon and you're on silent, one way to notice that is the clock and the little bell right next to it, which is always there and it's visible, which is very neat. I will be doing a full updated tutorial on my most popular ultimate iPhone home screen guide very soon, where I'll show you how you can utilize the action button to its full potential. But for now, I'm using it as my ultimate insert task button, and I couldn't be happier. Okay, so my task app of choice is TickTick, which has plenty of customization settings when it comes to shortcuts. And of course, there's a shortcut to create a new task. So in the settings app, I have selected to have my shortcuts in the action button as an option. So if I press the action button right now, I can easily create a task on the fly. This to me is the easiest way to create shortcuts frictionless, which is awesome. I think the natural gray color is the way to go with the 15 Pro, as it is the best of both light and dark worlds. It hides dust and lint that normally accumulates around the camera housings, while looking great no matter if you place it on a dark or light surface. The rails look less fingerprinted than before, but only on this color, while the rest of the color choices will look weird if they're presented with a deeper scratch, which is yet another reason to pick the natural gray. Gray also helps the phone blend in no matter the choice of case you go for. So this here, perhaps the only insignificant change that is also invisible is the battery, which is pretty much the same as before. Okay, a tad larger. I will not address any Instagram overheating issues, as this is something already in the past. In fact, if I were to express any initial concerns, at first it was the battery drain that I later realized was caused by my VPN service that I had on the entire time. For some reason it was eating about 20% of my battery, which I don't think is normal. Let me know in the comments below, by the way, how it is with you and if you're using a VPN. Once I turned the VPN off, I was chugging along doing 4 to 5 hours screen daily easily, having the expected results as before. Sometimes I would end the day at 30-35%, other times I would rush to charge the device right before dinner. It all varies and shows the battery alone on the smaller Pro is not something to brag about. If you want something that will last you, let's say, 2 days, just go for the Pro Max, it's a beast. Despite the 15 Pro now being mega comfortable to use as is, I like slapping on a case on certain occasions. Some of my favorite cases I've been using for years are by Pitaka. Made from 100% aramid fiber, they're some of the slimmest and lightest, giving you that highly coveted caseless feeling. The Mac Easy Case 4, for example, stands at less than 1mm in thickness and weighs only 18 grams. All of Pitaka cases are super durable, resistant to wear and discoloration, where the Mac Easy Case Pro 4 takes durability a step further, delivering military-grade all-around protection. Rest assured, your iPhone 15 camera lenses are protected no matter the case you go for. Of course, there's no skipping the unique patterns achieved thanks to fusion weaving. This technique shines in the latest limited edition Star Peak cases called Milky Way Galaxy and Over the Horizon, which features some new artistic designs. All cases come with super strong magnets, so you can safely enjoy them with your MagSafe compatible chargers and mounts, or some of the other unique products by Pitaka. So check out the first link in the description below to pick your unique Pitaka case today. So let's talk about the biggest capability of the 15 Pro and the second reason this phone is special: the camera. We all know that the cameras of the Pro iPhones are pretty much the reason they're called Pro. Up until the 15, we all know that in terms of consistency in both photos and videos, previous generation of iPhones have been deemed kings. Now, they might not be best in terms of, test results and on paper, but they have been the best for any occasion. You know exactly what you can expect when you pull out the phone. Consistent colors throughout the zoom range, best-in-class response when pressing the shutter button, and same goes for video. With the 15, Apple has taken that recipe and spiced it up to the next level. First of all, the difference of now shooting 24-megapixel photos instead of 12 is huge. I'm not referring to doing, pre-planned studio shoots. I'm talking about noticing that clarity in data when you take photos of the people and occasions that matter most. Everyday photos look way better, consisting of, way more information, no matter if you shoot at low light in the evening or daylight outdoors. If my wife can notice the difference without me bringing it up when taking photos of the kids, you know that Apple has done something special. I'm talking about the main sensor, of course, the one that we use 90% of the time. That additional information, those pixels in each photo alone, is the reason to think about the 15 Pro. But that's just one part of it. When taking photos of peoples and animals, the retained depth information alongside the live photo data means that any casual shot can now be turned from casual to special. So what does that mean? Well, first of all that means that family photos the spouse is taking of your kids, for example, will look 10 times better. And if they don't, you can make them look 10 times better on the fly, simply because the information is there. Second, this gives you the freedom of snapping photos in regular mode, knowing that you can turn any photo into a portrait masterpiece at any point. We are talking about speed combined with the consistency we all know and love, again combined with the just-in-case information that will allow you to turn any moment into a special one. You just whip the phone out and you take the shot and just move on. Gone is the, hold it for a second, then taking 2 more photos just in case, then saying, now let's do some portrait shots. The picture format that Apple uses is very special. Let me show you something. I'm going to be taking a photo with the Z Fold 5 and the iPhone 15 Pro of a very suspicious subject. But if we look at the photos and specifically the file sizes, what's interesting here is that the Z Fold 5, the actual file of the photo, is almost 8 megabytes, 7.99, while on the iPhone, the same 24 megapixel photo, which on the Z Fold is actually 12 megapixels, is 3.3 megabytes. And what's more interesting here is that the photo on the iPhone retains the depth information and the light information of the photo. Now imagine this multiplied by thousands of photos. This is just super special. And then comes the video and the ability to shoot log. I agree, this is not for everyone, but for the people who are on top of the content creation wave, this is huge. The fact that you can now shoot log format retaining crazy amount of dynamic range information, which you can later color grade and turn into something that doesn't look it was taken by your grandma, is absolutely fascinating. This is where the USB-C port comes along as reason number 3 for the 15 Pro to be special. It was the missing piece for years. To tell you how special it is, let me give you an example. We know this phone is expensive, but so is any other, small point-and-shoot camera that can do similar results but slower. Think about that for a second. With the ability to shoot on an external drive and in log, you don't need to buy a 1TB iPhone 15 Pro. You just need an entry model, and for that, you're not only getting a mega capable camera, but you're also getting one hell of a phone that you can play, AAA titles on it, talk with your closest people, live in the blue message bubble, if you will, and so much more. So here are some questions I got from the community recently. What happens when you plug the iPhone into a monitor? Well, not much, to be honest. The integration of the iPhone with a monitor might work for some moments where you want to, showcase some photos or videos, maybe stream something, but the best of all is when you game. When I plugged it into my desk setup and connected a Bluetooth controller, I got lost in some arcade goodness, where even the, bookshelf speakers came to life via the dock. Can you use an external keyboard with a cable? Yes, you can, and you can pretty much, run the entire desk setup with the mouse and everything if you enable assistive touch under accessibility. Can you do a real-world SSD speed test? Sure, I transferred a 32GB project back and forth between the SSD, the iPhone, and a Mac, and those are the results. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below. Honestly, both the iPhone 15 Pro models are great, and despite the Max having the 5x telephoto lens, I don't think it should be a deciding factor. Having the larger phone makes a lot more sense when it comes to, battery life, entertainment, and productivity, something I talk about in my day in the life with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which I'll link here. Like and subscribe to the channel, as well as my newsletter, and as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is Z, over and out.